Okay, so good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the next of our PA Forum Lunch and Learns. I'm delighted today to welcome the wonderful Sunny Vara, who is from Cybercy. Sunny has enjoyed a long career within the cybersecurity world. Back in the days when actually we probably never really even thought about cybersecurity and what cybersecurity even was. And I'm very thankful to Yvonne, who has kindly introduced Sunny to us. And he's here today to share his personal experience and break down that jargon in that big world that we live in. It's a very nerve-wracking world that we live in nowadays, and so I think it's really wonderful that Sunny's gifted his time to come and support us today. So Sunny, it's absolutely wonderful to welcome you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Dan. Appreciate the welcome, actually. Afternoon, everybody. So I'm Sunny Vara. I'm going to probably, how long have I got, Dan? Have I got 30 minutes, something like that, is it? Or
yeah, well, yeah, we've got up to an hour, so as long as you like,
okay,
Sunny, no worries at all.
Well, look, you know, I'm conscious this is a complex area, and as Dan says, I've been living and breathing this data protection and cybersecurity world for the last 20 odd years. So you know, I'm going to be talking to you about just simplifying some of this good stuff that I've learned over the years in a simplistic way. What I'll do is I'm just going to share my screen first of all, and hopefully you'll be able to see my slides. Bear with me.
All good. Thanks.
See my slide?
All good. Thank you.
Brilliant. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. Yeah. So I am the founder and CEO of Cybercy. So Cybercy are a my computer's frozen. I don't know why it's not moving. Bear with me. Brilliant. Okay. Sorry about that. God, I'm in technology and it freezes up on me. God help me. Yeah, so this is me anyway. This slide basically just talks about who I am as an individual. So I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Cybercy. We're a small boutique data protection and cybersecurity consultancy company based in Solihull. We've got lots and lots of clever people, more clever than me, working for us, and they do things like ethical hacking. And I'll explain what ethical hacking means later on in this presentation. I formed Cybercy back in 2017. So it was more of a situation where I've worked for all sorts of businesses, large, small, across UK and Europe. And I've basically learnt my trade in terms of how this data protection and cybersecurity world actually lives. What one of my mission is, and hopefully I display this today, is to deliver data privacy and cybersecurity with simplicity. So as Dan said in the opening gambit, for me, there will be no jargon from me today. And you know, this is the way I operate. And I'll be reflecting on the personal experiences that I've actually had, which I'll touch upon in a sec as well. What you'll get from today in terms of objectives is you'll actually get an awareness of these 4 areas that you've actually got on your slides. Data privacy. So everyone's probably heard about GDPR. I'm going to be touching upon about GDPR in a sec as well. So that will take about 2 or 3 minutes on that. And then really delving into this world of cybersecurity, really touching upon what it actually means in practice. And then the last bit is giving you some kind of hints and tips, so you walk away with some knowledge around this murky world of cybersecurity that I'm very much immersed in. So what I really wanted to go through at this point is, and this is a bit of a journey that I want to kind of take you through. Now, 11 years ago, I personally got hacked. So what basically happened was, I mean, I wasn't in the cybersecurity world or anything like that. I had £40,000 taken from me via a hacking. Now, 11 years ago, so what was I? I was about 32 at the time. You know, that money had just disappeared. And to make matters worse, sorry, that money had disappeared from my bank account. And also, to make matters worse, these hackers, what they did was basically took out various loans in my name. They actually took out credit cards in my name without me actually knowing. It was only a couple of years after the event that me and my wife decided to go for a mortgage. And I suddenly discovered that I had a really, really bad credit score. And I found out that I had actually had all these loans that I had no clue about whatsoever. So for me, don't get me wrong, on a personal level, that really impacted on me and my family, which was not a nice place to be, emotionally and mentally and physically, etc. But what I did the last 10 years, I've invested a lot of my time learning about how it happened to me and why it happened to me as well. And a lot of this personal experience, what I've done is gained from working for all sorts of organizations in the UK and across Europe, understanding how they protect the data, how they protect customers' data, what they do to secure data, etc. as well. And it was only in 2017 where I thought, okay, bugger it, I'm going to do this for myself. I created Cybercy, where it was my own business, obviously, with some really, really good people, giving people opportunities, in the Midlands area to learn about this world as well. To give you an idea of what types of customers we've actually got as well, just to paint a picture. I mean, we've got one-person bands, sorry. We've got accountants, recruitment agencies, and we've also got companies like JLR. We've got companies like NHS. We've got all these large blue chip companies that we also work with as well. What I'm going to do, first of all, this slide here, what I wanted to do is, within this time that we've got together, is take you all on a journey. Now, on a personal level, so this section is going to be concentrating more on a personal level. What I really, really empower all of you in your personal lives is when you're imparting with your data, albeit on these mobile phones, albeit with shops that you shop with, etc., and anything that you go on the internet, there are 5 things that I would definitely have at the back of your mind in terms of who you give your data away to. So every time, I mean, I was in, was it office, buying some shoes or something like that, and they asked for my email so I can give them, they can actually send my receipt to me. Now, obviously, that's very easy to do, but then that data, that email gets actually sold onto various other companies. And this is why the likes of you and I get lots and lots of adverts. So really, really be careful who you give your personal data to. What data are they after as well? So when you go onto a website, what data are you actually kind of imparting on them as well? So really, really be mindful. Hopefully you'll resonate with this particular example, but how many times have you actually gone onto, I don't know, a website and the cookie banner comes up and it says accept cookies? Now, don't get me wrong, I've done it as well, but every time you accept cookies, what that actually means is that your personal data is actually being sold to third parties. And this is how the likes of you and I get our data out there to unwanted organizations and individuals who potentially can hack you as well. All right. So I just wanted to be mindful. One thing that I would definitely say is be careful when you accept the banner. Make sure you read what's called the cookie notice or the privacy notice in terms of who and what data you're actually giving to them. Also, in your personal lives as well, be mindful of why they need that data as well. Ask questions around, why do you need my national insurance number? Why do you need my bank account details? Really, really get into the habit of asking these questions. You'll find that they want, in some of these organizations, collect it just to sell your data on as well. Another key thing is how your data is processed and how it's secured as well, guys. This is really, really important. There are, when you go onto a website, be mindful, the very first thing that you should be doing is going onto their privacy notice. Now, I know these are legal documents and people will really, blind you with lots of jargon, legal jargon on these privacy notices. But you'll find that the reputable agencies or reputable companies that treat your data safe and secure will give you the information in a very simplistic way as well. All right. And also how long are they going to keep your data for as well? All right. Now, the reason why I'm saying all these things is, believe it or not, on a daily basis, when we interact with people, organizations, when we deal with, buying stuff on the internet, all these are questions that we should be asking ourselves subliminally to make sure that we satisfy ourselves on who, what, why, how, and how long that data that you're going to be giving to them is kind of clearly understood as well. Now, for me, what you're seeing on the screen here is who has your data. Now, these are all kind of apps that we all, some of us have on our mobile phones, on our smartphones. So, there's some household apps on here. Now, I can't see you guys, so apologies, but there's a question on here. One of these collects up to 79% of all categories of personal data. I don't know if you want to just put in the chat message. Do you just want to just have a bit of a guess in terms of, is it Uber? Is it Instagram? Is it TikTok? So again, I'm just going to look at the chat message, guys. So people are saying Facebook, Google, or Facebook, Google, Instagram, Spotify. Right, okay. Brilliant. Thanks, guys. Appreciate your input there. Facebook, which I don't do. Okay, excellent. Okay. We'll pick up that, Tracy, actually. I'd welcome a question on that later on as well, actually. So just to give you an idea, so for the people that actually said Facebook, yes, so Facebook's, they have 79% of your data. Now, let me just, now this is the kind of data that Facebook actually has. So you'll see on your screen here, guys, that they have all of this information. So they'll have your facial recognition, they'll have your bank details, they'll have your weight, your next of kin, your employer, age, pet ownership. Does this, hopefully this surprises you or doesn't surprise you? Again, I'll be intrigued in the questions and answers at the end of this session to understand. So do remember, these organizations have actually got this type of data, your personal data, out there in the public domain. So there's three things that I would definitely say on a practical level that you all do in simple terms. Yes, be suspicious. There are lots of scrupulous activities going out there on the internet at the moment, which I'm going to give you some examples later. So the first thing is, I always think like a hacker, and be suspicious is definitely the first element that I would actually kind of say when partaking with your data. The other thing I'd say here, guys, is only visit secure sites. Now, I've put this on here for a reason. HTTPS. So when you go onto a website, one of my biggest tips is to make sure that the website that you're going on has HTTPS. If it hasn't got an S, then it's not a secure website. And if you're going on that website and browsing through that website as well, there's a high chance that that website is unsecure, and there's a high chance that website is hackable. So if you were to buy something on that HTTP site with your money, with your card details, there's a high chance that your bank details can go into the hands of these hackers that I'm referring to. The next thing I would say is strong passwords as well. So it's an obvious one here, guys, but there are a few slides later on that will provide you some insight in terms of how easy it is to actually hack into your passwords as well. So I'm going to talk about this. Now, I'm going to try something here, guys. That there is a video that I'm going to play. I'm going to look over to Yvonne to see if that actually does work and that you can hear it. If you can't, then please, Dan, if you wanted to shout out. So bear with me.
We're talking about cybersecurity today and how safe people's passwords are. What is one of your online passwords currently?
It is my dog's name and the year I graduated from high school.
Oh, what kind of dog do you have?
I have a Chihuahua Papillon,
And what's his name?
Jameson.
Jameson. And where'd you go to school?
I went to school back in Greensburg, Pennsylvania.
What school?
Hempfield Area Senior High School.
Oh, when did you graduate?
In 2009.
Oh, great.
It's like my cat's name and then just like a random number.
Okay. Has you had this cat for a while?
Yeah, she's my childhood pet.
Aw. And what's her name?
Her name is Jolie.
Jolie. So like a password of yours would be Jolie and then a number.
Yeah.
Like number 1.
Like my birthday.
Oh, when is your birthday?
June 12th.
Oh, nice. And what year were you born?
95.
Oh, great. So Jolie 6/12/95. Yes. Got it.
So you mean to give my password right now? No, I cannot do that.
But we all want to know what it is so we can tell you if it's strong or not.
Oh my goodness. Let me think. Okay, one is Tel Aviv. Yeah. 468, and then Israel. It's only 3, but it's for me it's strong enough.
Ireland, 1, 2, 3, 4. Gemma, 1, 2, 3. Spelled Gemma.
Well, most of them are Italian.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. So like
what's a good Italian password?
my grandma's name,
What's your grandma's name?
Maria.
Maria. So Maria is your password?
Oh yeah, how you know my password? Oh yeah.
Okay. Hopefully everyone enjoyed that little video there, guys. And apologies, I can't see you guys, but let me just go to the chat message. Brilliant. Okay. Brilliant. Okay. Excellent. So what I've actually got here, guys, is that video was about how easily we give our passwords away. Now, it wasn't, I mean, that video was just in jest, some of it as well. But I can tell you, in the world that I live in, it's very easy to break into passwords. And I'm going to give you some sort of guidance on this later on. But the first thing I'd like to talk to you about is we're living in obviously the digital age where we go on the internet and we give away our data on all them apps that I spoke about and all these other shops that I spoke about as well. The bad thing that from our perspective is that these companies who have our data regularly have data breaches. And what I mean by that is these companies get hacked. And unfortunately, these hackers actually have access to our data and they're able to actually, sell that data on the dark web. Now, one thing that I would definitely, this is another tip, if I can call it that, is for all of you to take down this particular website. And look, it's HTTPS, by the way, as well, so it is safe and secure as well. Definitely take a picture of this particular website itself. So it's HTTPS haveibeenpawned.com. Now, if you put your email address in there, and I can definitely vouch for it, it's absolutely safe, guys. If you've got time during this call to actually do that as well, I'll be intrigued at the end if, what the outputs of that, check is. Now, if I was to put my email address in there, it will tell me that particular email and all the actual necessary data that's available on the dark web. So there are hackers out there that can actually buy that data. So in summary, I would say this haveibeenpawned.com is a really, really useful exercise for all of you to check regularly, pass it on to your friends and family as well, to really kind of understand whether your personal data is on the dark web, because these data breaches that happen with organizations that we give our data to, if they're not treating our data in a safe and secure way, I can bet your bottom dollar that your information will be available on the dark web. But this website is how you check. All right. Again, we'll talk about some of this stuff at the end as well. So what I've really concentrated on so far during this presentation is on a personal level, how you can be hacked by making sure that you've got the right passwords and the security controls in place. So we are going to touch upon more of this. the next section of this presentation is going to talk about you as a business. Now, from your perspective, these are elements, these are slides that you can take back to your business to almost kind of make sure that when you as a business, whatever business you work in, you're able to follow this framework to protect customer data as well, all right? To make sure that it doesn't get hacked. Now, the Information Commissioner is basically the regulator, the ICO. So you may or may not have heard about the ICO, but the ICO are the organization that regulates the data protection industry. So you as businesses, they are basically responsible for making sure that you comply with data protection law. And the key thing that here is around accountability. So your business must be able to demonstrate that you are compliant. Now, how you do that as well. So again, this is a really useful slide to make sure that your business is compliant with GDPR. These are the fundamental building blocks that you need to have in place to make sure that you're protecting customer data. Now, I won't go through every single one, guys, here, but making sure that you've got a record of processing. So record of processing basically means you are obligated under the GDPR to have a record of all that data that you process. And if you haven't got the data that you process recorded or documented, then how do you know what data to protect? So the GDPR talks about make sure you have a record of processing. The other aspect is training and awareness as well. So training and awareness is a key element of GDPR, where customer services, customer-facing departments need to make sure that they're trained in data protection. One of the biggest reasons for data breaches of customer data, our data, is human error. Yeah, so there are lots and lots of examples that I can cite to you in terms of how human error results in data breaches, and then all of a sudden our data appears on the dark web, and then people go and buy it and then hack you. So again, that's how that links in. Individual rights as well. So just to quickly touch upon this, you may or may not be aware, but under GDPR, there are rights where you as an individual have got access to your data. You as an individual have got a right to erasure as well. So you can go to organizations who don't need your data, and you can actually ask them to remove that data and delete your data. And the organizations need to be able to do that within 30 days as well. I personally use this right to erasure as a regular thing that I do to protect my data. And to my friends and family and colleagues, I basically educate and train people around how to actually do this. And if you're interested, feel free to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to have one-on-one discussions with you guys in terms of how to actually exercise your right for erasure. What I've actually got is some legal letters that I send out to various organizations who I don't want them to have my data. Now, this is really good practice here, guys, because for me, the more data you actually give out there to organizations, the onus is on us to make sure that we give that data to them for that particular purpose, but we're able to get that data back as well. There are various organizations, and I'm talking on a real personal level here, guys, but there's organizations that have bombarded me with phone calls, sales calls, lots of adverts, lots of post sales material, all that, and they've never really consented. Sorry, I've never really consented for them to actually have my data. So one of the things I do is exercise my right for erasure, right to be deleted, with all these organizations to make sure that they no longer have that data. Now, there is a really, really simple, pragmatic process to go through that my organization helps individuals and businesses to actually go through that process as well, all right? So I won't dwell on this too much here, but on here, feel free to take a picture of this particular slide. But if your business is GDPR compliant, then all these fundamental building blocks needs to be in place. So that's I'll leave that there for that element. in order to be GDPR compliant here, guys, is again, this is something to take back to your businesses or your workplace where you work. What do we actually mean by personal data? So these are the definitions around what the GDPR talks about. So personal data is any data that's personally identifiable to a living person. All right. So GDPR doesn't apply to the deceased, but any data. So it could be your first name, your surname, and your email address. Now, a lot of people always say to me, sunny.vara@cybercy.co.uk, that's not personally identifiable. Now, for me, even your business or work email addresses, it is personally identifiable. Because for me, one of the hackable areas that these hackers actually look at is, okay, well, I've got Sunny's details. I know his first name. I know his surname. I know he works for Cybercy. Let's look him up on LinkedIn. Let's look him up on Facebook. Let's now kind of build up a profile of Sunny. Then they go onto the dark web and they're able to build up a picture about me. Now, this is a common crime that exists today. It's absolutely rife. So again, it was just to kind of make sure that you're aware that any data that is identifiable to you as an individual is regarded as personal data. Now, the GDPR talks about special category data as well. And again, something to take back to your workplaces. I've listed down any of the, all the special category data that you need to be aware of that you haven't really got a legal right to actually process. Now, if you have got a legal right to process that kind of data as a business, then you need to be able to justify it as well. And what the GDPR talks about is that for this personal and special category data, you must have what's called a DPIA. Now, that's an acronym that I will demystify. DPIA stands for Data Protection Impact Assessments. So very much similar to in the health and safety world, you have DSE assessments. Now, God forbid, if your organization had a data breach, then the very first question that the ICO would ask is, okay, well, did you do a risk assessment against that personal and special category data that you've actually you're processing as a business? And the way you do that is through a DPIA as well. Now, organizations who have got fined over the years, they probably didn't actually do a DPIA on the customer data that they actually process. So again, this is just another bit of advice around making sure that if your business is processing personal and special category data, making sure that you've got DPIAs in place to protect that data and to make sure that you've actually you're compliant with GDPR. Again, I won't dwell on this slide too much, but if you're interested, a common question that I actually get is, what does good look like in terms of GDPR? Now, I won't demystify all this. I mean, feel free to reach out to me on a one-on-one basis or send me an email, and I'm more than happy to demystify this. But if your organization is GDPR compliant, your organization will have all these principles in place, and you're able to kind of point to it with records in place as well. The key thing that for you to take away for your workplaces is making sure that, if you're a business owner or if you work within a business, that accountability exists. So, the top senior level individuals responsible and accountable for that business has all these things in place. Now, if these things aren't in place, then you are not GDPR compliant. And then what that potentially means is that you are potentially putting customers' data at risk. And in this day and age, what the trends are is for organizations to make sure that they are transparent about their GDPR compliance through all the good stuff that they do. Because I don't know about you, but if somebody is GDPR compliant, if they're keeping all my data minimized, and it's only for the purpose that I've actually given them, it's secure, it's accurate, then I would build up a trust to give my data to them as well. So again, it's just something to think about there as well. Now, what we do as a business is, from a GDPR and cybersecurity perspective, we do what's called a Cybercy health check. So we take all the elements of your business's data protection compliance, and we give you a red, amber, green report as well. So this is something that I wanted to mention. If this discussion today or presentation that I'm doing has hit a note, or if there's something that you'd like to know about in terms of red, amber, green, you know, where are your weak spots in terms of GDPR? We actually provide a Cybercy health check, which will give you visibility in terms of where you are compared to what good looks like. This is something I really, really believe in, this quote as well. So Warren Buffett, who you probably all know anyway, quoted, "A business's reputation takes 20 years to build, but 5 minutes to ruin." My take on this, in the world that I live in, it takes a business's reputation takes 20 years to build, but 5 seconds to ruin. And this actually happens when, you know, organizations have these big cyber attacks and where our data is actually kind of at risk, and then we get compromised and hacked, and then personally, financially get ruined, as I did many years ago. So for me, it's something to be aware of, that treating data protection and cybersecurity is absolutely imperative for your business's reputation. And this presentation talks about the hints and tips to get in place as well. So that was all data protection, you know, a real overview of, yeah, the fundamental building blocks that your business needs to have in place to protect customer data, our data as well. Now, the next section is around just demystifying cybersecurity. So I'm not going to go to any, I'm not going to talk about any jargon or anything like that, but what I am going to give you some useful statements around what cybersecurity actually is. Now, if you were to Google what is cybersecurity, there's a plethora of definitions out there around what cybersecurity is. Now, what I've done is, this is Cybercy's view of what cybersecurity is. And on the left here, you know, what you've actually got is cybersecurity is how individuals and organizations reduce the risk of cyber attack. So within the businesses that you work in, cybersecurity is about, you know, how the individuals or employee data and the organization's data is actually being reduced of cyber attacks. So that's one element to think about as well. For me, cybersecurity is not just an IT issue as well, it's a boardroom issue. With all of our clients, we work at all different levels, but more importantly at boardroom level, to educate boards around, or owners of businesses, around how they treat this data protection and cybersecurity very seriously, and how they should treat it seriously as well. Don't forget, you know, as we demonstrated in the data protection section of this presentation, companies have a duty under law to protect their customers' data as well. And the third statement on your right of the screen really is a quote that I use regularly when I'm doing these talks around this cybersecurity world. So if cybersecurity was a country, its economy would be the 3rd largest in the world, and that's behind China and the US. This is a massive, massive industry here. A lot of it is, you know, generated through the dark web, you know, where all of our data actually sits. But this is a $1 trillion industry in terms of how money is being made in this world from hackers. This is as well. All right. So again, a visual for yourselves as well. What is cybersecurity in simple terms? So cybersecurity is the devices, are the services that you provide to your customers, and the personal information that you actually have in place. Sorry, I've just gone one slide below. And I normally talk about cybersecurity with this red barrier that I've actually put around the screen here. Cybersecurity is implementing the appropriate measures to protect this personal data. So making sure that the mobile phones, the laptops and the PCs that you use in your business or in your personal lives, making sure that there's security in place to protect these devices. Cybersecurity is also about making sure that the services that you provide, albeit maybe on the website, etc., you're protecting these services. And personal information that you process, providing these services on the devices that you use, making sure that you've got security controls in place to protect that personal data. Now, cyber attacks are on the rise here, and this will not be any surprise to anyone on this call. What I've actually listed on here is all the different types of common cyber attacks that are actually happening as we speak by the second as well. All right. So some of this will be kind of familiar to me. So some of it may not be, but key ones on here that I wanted to really pick out are ransomware. Now, again, I've got a slide later on in this presentation, but ransomware is where phishing actually happens. So phishing is emails that you actually get with the links that hackers actually create, which imitate actual real life scenarios. And then we as busy people may have actually clicked on the link, and these hackers have actually got access to your device, so your laptop, your mobile phone, and they're watching you. So there are organizations out there that are paid to watch you through your webcam, through your mobile phones, and to listen in on things like Internet of Things, which is your Alexas, your Googles, all that stuff as well. All right. So I'll leave that there for the moment, because there are some slides that I'm going to be talking about later. Ransomware, phishing, and social engineering are the most common types of cyber attacks that you and I are prone to every second of the day. Now, if I can open this up to you all. Now, this is a phishing email. So I'll give you a few seconds just to digest this particular email. Can anyone actually spot anything odd about this particular email? Now, I'll open up the chat message. Don't know if you want to... Spelling of lottery. Here you go, Adele. Well done. Jane, yeah, spot on. Yeah, you got it. So if this email appeared on your phone or on your laptop device, this is a common technique that hackers actually use to hack you. But how they do this is through phishing emails. And the smart cookies on this call, you've already kind of spotted it straight away. So obviously you wouldn't actually click on that. But hackers use all these different techniques to basically imitate real life scenarios to fool you in terms of clicking on links. So if I clicked on that sign in, not having looked at that spelling, then immediately your device that you're operating on is vulnerable to being hacked. Now, the type of things that these hackers can actually do is they can actually watch you through the webcam. They can actually track your mouse movements. So if you're actually going into, I don't know, ASOS.com and buying or whatever you're buying, a jumper, for example, and it will actually kind of track your mouse movements right down to the bank details and the sort code and all the long credit card numbers that you actually put in. It will track you with that information as well. All right. So again, be mindful. There is software out there. And again, I'm happy to kind of advise you on this, on how to be aware of phishing emails. And these trackers actually tell you, oh, you've just had a phishing email. So I definitely recommend it's worth investing some time to protect your emails against receiving phishing emails as well. All right, so that's tip number one. Next slide. So this is a smishing email. Smishing is basically different to phishing. It's a type of phishing email that you get on text message. Again, I'd like to open it up on the chat message. Does everyone resonate with messages like this? When you read this, I'm just going to open up the chat message. I've had plenty of those. I've had lots of those. Yeah, absolutely. Spot on. So all of us are actually, so what Rachel's saying, I get smishing messages every now and again. I always ignore. Fantastic. Yeah, look, what hackers do is once you've actually gone onto the websites, once you're actually being tracked, you've clicked on maybe a phishing link, they find out your phone number. It's very easy to find out people's phone number these days as well with the publicly available information. What hackers do is have software in place to send you these types of text messages on a regular basis as well. And what they will do is look at your internet activity, and they will look at your browsing history. And if you'd just gone on to postoffice.com to buy whatever it was, they will send you text messages like this. All right. So again, I'm just giving you the here and now in terms of what we all experience. I can see on the chat message that we all see these on a regular basis. I will talk about how we prevent this happening, by the way, shortly. Right. So I mentioned earlier what a ransomware actually looks like. So if you as an individual or somebody within your organization, and you as an individual in your personal lives have clicked on a phishing link, and if you are of, let's say, high net worth, or if somebody wants to make trouble for you, or you've developed an enemy that wants to get at you. I mean, I always say, gone are the days when people break into houses and break into people's cars and all this. Ransomware is the easiest way to actually make money these days from a criminal activity perspective. Okay, yeah. What does a ransomware look like? So you'll find that if you have clicked on a phishing link, if your data is on the dark web, so remember, haveibeenpawned.com, definitely check that website. Then you are at risk of getting a message like this to say, when you log in on your phone or on your laptop, it's highly likely that you will get a message like this to saying that your data has now been encrypted. If you don't pay me this amount of money in terms of crypto, then I am going to lock that data away, and you will no longer have access to that data. All right. So from a business perspective, and as employees, and in your personal lives, you do not want to get messages like this. All right, because I've seen, and my business has actually seen customers where they've been compromised. They've had ransomware attacks. Some have had to pay in Bitcoin to release that data, and some have actually gone out of business. All right. So again, I wanted to show you, it's very easy for me to talk about ransomware, but this is a visual, a real life visual of how a ransomware looks like as well. So again, another question here for you guys. So on the chat message, what I would like is your view on what does ransomware cost? Now, this isn't in terms of how much it costs a business. This is how much does it cost you and I as individuals if you wanted to send a ransomware attack to one of your enemies. And this happens in the business world, by the way, guys. Okay, yeah. What is rife where, if I wanted to kind of compromise a competitor's business, not that I would ever think about that as well, by the way, then it's very easy to do. So all I have to do is go on the dark web and buy some ransomware. So on the chat message, if you could just give me an indication, do you think it's the 0 to £1,000, 1,000 to £5,000, or £5,000 as well? So I'm just going to open up the chat message, guys. So Dan is saying 0 to £1,000. Okay. Maria, you're saying 5,000. Rachel, thank you. 0 to 1,000. 1 to 5,000. Yeah. Okay. Some really good guesses there, guys. So I'll tell you how much it costs. So let me show you how much it costs. Bear with me. There you go. It would cost you as an individual, and more importantly, it would cost a hacker £48 to go onto the dark web to buy ransomware and to use that data against an individual or business. And that's real life. If you're lucky, and if there's an offer on dark web, and this is the absolute truth, you actually have buy one, get one free offers as well on the dark web So for £48, I can buy a ransomware deal, and I can buy 2, and I can send that to an individual or a business. So again, that is just giving you the reality of why this industry, why the cybersecurity industry is the 3rd largest, if it was economy, behind US and China, how easy it is to actually hack individuals. And people like you and I are all at risk of getting hacked. And again, this is not scaremongering or anything like this. And this is why I'm giving you the hints and tips. Like I said to you, start step number 1, go on to haveibeenpawned.com, and you will actually see how much of your data is actually available on the dark web. And hackers can actually buy that for £48. All right. So in terms of practical steps that, again, I won't go through each and every single one. I'm just conscious of time. But there are elements on this screen which I empower you to take a picture of. More importantly, you're seeing on the screen various hints and tips, but if I can give you 3 things to do to almost protect your own personal data, and then hopefully your businesses actually apply the same concept, is have a look at your passwords in terms of how secure they are. And I'm going to touch upon this in a sec as well. All right. So make sure you've got long passwords using symbols and caps lock and lowercase and all that. And I'm going to demystify this in a sec. Number 2, make sure you have a password manager. All right. So again, if you want to reach out to me direct, I'm more than happy to advise you in terms of the password managers that are best practice that people look for. And then number 3 is to, and this is the most important thing that you need to do, and this is my personal advice, is switch on your 2-factor authentication. So this, in layman's terms, is where if you go onto a website, it actually sends you a text message or a phone call to your phone, and it verifies your existence and it authenticates you as an individual. So 2-factor authentication is definitely something that I would recommend. So I'll repeat that anyway. Look at your password manager, and then 2-factor authentication. That's the most basic things that you can do. Now, if you do these 3 things, you are making it difficult for hackers to hack you, basically. All right. So again, on here, I've actually put down various tips to protect your data as well. So when you're going on to various websites or even your personal emails, look at the privacy settings, making sure that, I mean, it's very intuitive, some of these privacy settings as well, making sure that you're reviewing it and making sure that you're switching off access or giving away data freely as well. Disable your Wi-Fi as well. It's a big one actually here, guys, as well. Very easy. If you haven't actually changed your home Wi-Fi password, again, do remember this is publicly available information, your Wi-Fi passwords, which is default passwords that is available on the dark web today. All right. So again, that's something that to bear in mind. Passwords we've talked about, social media, keep private. I mean, making sure that when you're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, etc., making sure that you've got the privacy settings to your specific need as well. Don't give away data if you don't need to as well. Right, okay, this is what I was talking about earlier. Time taken to hack passwords. Now, again, if you've all got your phones, please take a picture of this as well. This is the actual time taken. So where you've got your reds, ambers, and greens and blacks as well on here as well. This is the time taken on how long it takes to hack into your password. So based on the number of characters of your password, if you've got a password which only has 4 characters, and it has numbers only, lowercase letters, all that kind of stuff that you can see on your screens, then I can tell you as a cybersecurity expert that it's instantly possible to actually hack into your password. All right. So what this table really demonstrates, and I put this out on LinkedIn a couple of weeks ago, and this had some really, really good traction here, guys, as well. So I'll be interested in your own thoughts on this as well. the more number of characters that you can actually use, you can actually see. So if my password is 18 characters, but I had numbers only, it will take a hacker approximately 3 weeks to hack into that password or get access to that password. But the more of these top layer elements that you use, so numbers, uppercase, lowercase, letters, and symbols, and the more number of characters you actually have, you can actually see here that it can take 438 trillion years to actually, and this is in cyber years, by the way, cyber hacking years, to actually hack into your password as well. So in simple terms, the number of characters, please make sure that you're heading towards the 18, and please make sure that you're using numbers, uppercase, lowercase, symbols, and letters in your passwords. So that's the end of this cybersecurity bit, and just a bit about Cybercy here as well. So Cybercy, as I said at the top end of this presentation, I created Cybercy 4 years ago, so in 2017. What we do is we educate businesses around their vulnerabilities. We provide businesses health checks. We provide red, amber, greens. But then what we do, more importantly, is the reds and the ambers, we actually close off these gaps and help your businesses to be more secure as well. So the services that we provide, as I've articulated, yes, we provide data protection and privacy services. So we basically help your organization to become GDPR compliant. So we talked earlier about all the fundamental building blocks. So if your organization has not got these blocks in place, we can actually help you. And the cybersecurity stuff that we talked about in the second half of this session, we aim to protect your businesses, you as individuals and you as businesses, around the, hopefully you found it enlightening in terms of how easy it is to hack individuals, and we protect businesses from being hacked as much as we can. This slide here is about how we do it. I won't dwell on this too much here, but it just basically gives you an idea of when Cybercy go out there and work with clients. We help you to identify your risks through the Cybercy health check, but more importantly, we help you to protect your data by training and awareness and making sure that you've got access controls in place. What we also do on the cybersecurity front is we detect threats as well. So we help businesses of all different sizes when they're actually getting hacked, when we're sleeping, for example. All right. So these are called, again, I promise not to actually talk about jargon, but SIEM systems. SIEM systems are basically threat management systems where it helps behind the scenes when we're not awake, or even throughout the day, 24/7. It helps you to understand who's attacking you, who's sending you the ransomware attacks, basically. All right. We also, unfortunately, this is a large part of my business's work. We help you to respond to data breaches and cyber attacks as well. So this is not the nice end, because this is where it starts to impact on you and I as individuals, as customers as well. And then what my business also does, what Cybercy also does, is recover businesses from when they've been cyber attacked, when they've had ransomware attacks. We help organizations to recover from that as well. Right? The big thing there I didn't touch upon earlier is to make sure you as a business, making sure you've got backups of your data, even on a personal front here. And I really, really mean this. And this is where I fell foul many years ago. I didn't have backups of pictures of, family photos. And, when my daughter was born and all this stuff, that was compromised as well. So again, that had a personal impact to me. So I cannot stress enough, making sure that you're backing your data up from your mobile phones, your laptops, on a regular basis. And you don't have to physically go in and back it up. And there are, in your privacy settings, ways where it automatically backs it up on a live basis. So I empower you to also do that as well. So that is the end of my presentation. I can't stress how thankful I am that that I was asked by Dan and the team to talk about this this complex subject. And for me, I wanted to use this session to talk about data protection and cybersecurity from a personal level, and hopefully you've got that today. And then from a business level, what kind of things that businesses need to have in place to protect customers' data as well. So hopefully you found it insightful. If you've got a QR code, feel free to take a picture of that, or scan that as well. You'll see all my social media profiles. You can get in touch with me via this QR code as well. So feel free to drop me an email as well. That'd be appreciated as well. I'm going to go to. I'm going to stop sharing now. And Dan,
thank you so much, Sunny. I really appreciate it. I know, obviously, there's so much there, and it is quite overwhelming when you hear about it, but it's so helpful to know about it. And obviously, you've given us some great hints and tips today. The chat box is full of questions, so I hope you don't mind. What I've done, just because I'm conscious of time, is I'm going to take the questions out of the chat box, and I'm going to send those to Yvonne. And then if you wouldn't mind, Sunny, coming back and answering those questions, and I can include that then as a follow-up to everybody. Would that be okay? Just because there's a lot of questions, and I just want to make sure that we try and answer all of those, if that's all right with you.
I'll be delighted to, and anyone that wants to reach out to me as well, happy to kind of answer questions direct. I'm just scanning through the chat messages at the moment. There are some practical stuff that I can talk to you about, but I will actually answer every single question, and Yvonne will get back to you guys as well. All right.
Yeah, that's amazing. Honestly, I'm really, really grateful for your time today. Thank you so much, Yvonne, for putting us in touch with Sunny and giving him time to speak to us today as well in his diary. So thank you so much for that. I'm really, really grateful. Sunny, it's been an absolute pleasure. Really appreciate it. And we look forward to catching up with you again soon. Thanks, everyone.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.